What's up, college football fans? Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button because we're diving deep into some seriously hot takes about this year's college football playoff. So look, I'm just going to say it right off the bat. We might as well cancel the playoff this year. Yeah, I said it. Because let's be real. We already know how this movie ends. Ohio State is cutting down the nets. The Buckeyes are hoisting that trophy. And honestly, nobody's even close to stopping them. But that's not all we're talking about today. We've got some spicy takes about the SEC struggling in the playoff, why the Big 12 is getting disrespected, Notre Dame's questionable resume, and why Diego Pavia deserves way more Heisman love than he's getting. Stick around because this one's going to ruffle some feathers. Let's get into it. All right, let's start with the elephant in the room. Ohio State is just on a different level this season. Like, not even in the same stratosphere as everyone else. A few weeks back, I predicted a national championship game between Ohio State and Texas A&M. Got that 50% right, but honestly, I should have just called it for the Buckeyes from the jump. They're not just making the playoff, they're steamrolling through it. Now, Indiana might give them a game in the Big Ten championship. Maybe. But this feels like one of those spots where Ohio State just reminds everyone in the conference who's boss. It's going to be a statement game. Let's talk about why they're so good. First up, the offense is absolutely cooking. Julian Sayin might not win the Heisman, and yeah, maybe he doesn't deserve it statistically, but this kid is playing some elite ball. As a first-year starter, the guy is lights out. He's got pinpoint accuracy to every level of the field. Deep balls, money. Intermediate routes, cash. Short stuff, automatic. And he doesn't make mistakes. That's huge. Now, it definitely helps when you're throwing to Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate, two of the best receivers in college football. But give Sayin credit. This isn't just about the weapons. The kid's got serious talent in his own right. But here's where it gets scary for everyone else. The defense might be even better than the offense. People were worried after they lost Jim Knowles to the NFL, and several defensive stars went pro. How could Ohio State possibly replace all that talent? Well, joke's on us because they're somehow better this year. How is that even fair? Matt Patricia came in as the new defensive coordinator, and he's brought this NFL-style approach that's tying opposing offenses into absolute knots. Teams just don't know what to do against these looks. And the talent? Off the charts. Arvell Reese is out here looking like the first non-quarterback who's going to get drafted in April. That's how good he is. Then you've got returning studs like Caleb Downs in the secondary and Sonny Styles at linebacker. The depth across the board is just unfair. Bottom line, Ohio State's winning it all. They're not going to have much trouble getting there either. We can spare all the drama about playoff formats and brackets. Just give them the trophy now and save everyone the suspense. Now, I know what you're thinking. What about the SEC? It's the best conference in football. Yeah, about that. Look, the playoff's still going to happen. Some games will be entertaining. But here's what's going to be absolutely delicious for a lot of folks. Watching the SEC struggle in most of their playoff matchups. Because this year's version of the SEC, not built for a deep postseason run. Let's break down some of these contenders. Oklahoma's got a defense that can keep them competitive, sure, but that offense, yikes. They're not built to succeed against elite competition. Good luck scoring on Ohio State's defense with that unit. Then there's Alabama. The Crimson Tide look incredibly shaky this year. They lost to Florida State and Oklahoma. Florida State! They also struggled against teams like South Carolina and Auburn, teams that have no business giving Alabama problems. Don't get me wrong, their defense is top shelf, but the offense has some serious issues. Ty Simpson completely nosedived late in the season. That's not what you want heading into the playoff. Texas A&M? Man, they looked like world beaters for a while. But there's something fraudulent about the Aggies when you really dig into it. Their finale against Texas was literally the first time all season they played a conference opponent with a pulse. And what happened? They got smoked by 10 points. 2 weeks before that, they had to pull off the largest comeback in program history just to avoid losing at home to South Carolina, a team that fired their coach mid-season. Here's the kicker. A&M's 7 conference wins came against opponents with a combined 11-41 record in SEC play. They beat 4 teams that fired their coach during the season. That's not the resume of a juggernaut, that's a padded schedule. Maybe Georgia can save the SEC's reputation, but honestly, the Bulldogs have a lot of the same problems as everyone else in the conference. The SEC's gonna have a rough playoff. Mark my words. All right, let's talk about the elephant in the room that nobody wants to address. The Big 12 is getting absolutely disrespected. Most of the at-large conversation is going to teams like Texas, Notre Dame, and even Alabama if they lose in the SEC championship game, and I get it. Those are the big brands with the big platforms. But here's the thing. Instead of just shoehorning teams into the playoff because they're historically good, shouldn't we focus on teams that have actually accomplished something this year? BYU is sitting at 11-1, and unless they beat Texas Tech to win the Big 12 title, it feels like they're going to get left out in the cold, and that would be the real injustice here. BYU's only loss came on the road against top 5 Texas Tech. That's it. Their strength of record ranks 6th according to ESPN's FPI. That's ahead of Alabama, Vanderbilt, Texas, Notre Dame, Miami, and Utah, all teams in the playoff conversation. Their strength of schedule ranks 35th, which is higher than Ole Miss, Notre Dame, Miami, and Virginia. BYU's won their last 3 games by double digits. They pass the eye test. They succeed in every single metric the selection committee claims to value. So what's the logic in leaving them out? Brand recognition? That's it? Both Texas Tech and BYU deserve playoff bids, no matter what happens in the Big 12 championship game, period. Speaking of teams that don't deserve it, let's talk about Notre Dame. But they've won 10 games in a row. Yeah, congratulations. Hang the banner, print the t-shirts. They also lost their only 2 games that actually mattered when they started 0-2 against Texas A&M and Miami. It's absolutely ridiculous that Notre Dame is anywhere near the playoff conversation, while teams like BYU, Vanderbilt, and Miami, a Miami team that literally beat Notre Dame head-to-head, are getting left on the outside looking in. It's honestly impressive that Notre Dame is on a 10-game win streak and not a single one of those wins actually matters. Not one. You can argue they beat USC, but the Trojans are the definition of mediocre this year. I'm fully convinced that Pittsburgh was only ranked to boost Notre Dame's resume. And even against Pitt, the Irish looked less impressive than Miami did. The only thing keeping Notre Dame in the race right now is brand recognition and preseason rankings. If those are the only criteria that matter, then what's the point of even playing the regular season? All right, last thing before we wrap up, we need to talk about Diego Pavia. This man is the sole reason Vanderbilt is in the college football playoff conversation. He's the reason the Commodores are having their greatest season in program history. He's the reason they took Tennessee to the woodshed on Saturday for their first win against the Vols since 2018. That should be enough to give him the Heisman Trophy right there. He's the engine behind one of the best stories in college football. But the numbers back it up too. Against Tennessee, he had 433 total yards of offense with 2 touchdowns while averaging 8.3 yards per carry. Unreal. That was his 6th game this season with at least 190 passing yards and 50 rushing yards, more than any other FBS quarterback. Let that sink in. In Vanderbilt's last 4 regular season games, Pavia threw for 1,194 yards and 12 touchdowns. He's averaging 14.5 yards per completion during that stretch. That's elite efficiency. He checks every single box of what a Heisman winner should be. The stats are there, the story is there, the impact is undeniable. Hand Diego Pavia the Heisman now. All right, folks, that's going to do it for today. To recap, Ohio State's winning it all, the SEC's going to struggle, the Big 12 deserves more respect, Notre Dame shouldn't be in the conversation, and Diego Pavia needs to be in New York for the Heisman ceremony. What do you think? Am I way off base here, or am I speaking facts? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, smash that like button and subscribe for more college football content. I'll catch you in the next one.